Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And today we have some Switch news that's come out just over the last week or so. And we still have about another month or so before this console comes out, and the stories are popping up like crazy. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about some Target pre-orders, a new game announcement, some Mario Kart news, an accessory company that's gotten into a little bit of hot water with Nintendo, some juiciness from CD Projekt Red about the upcoming Cyberpunk for the Switch 2, and more. All right, so first up is going to be Target and some pre-order issues that we've been hearing about. And I'm going to jump over to an article from The Sun here, and we're going to go through it. All right, and it looks like the title of this article is Games Up, Target forced to apologize as loyal shoppers double charged and faced pre-order cancellations on in-demand new item. One customer, Simon, was excited by the chance to own the new console, so he pre-ordered it from Target, but the purchase went awry. He took to media platform X to share his experience. Simon said, "I'm very disappointed with your company. I pre-ordered a Nintendo Switch 2, and then the pre-authorization hold on my credit card actually charged my account and held for 10 days. The funds were posted back to my account, and then 24 hours later, I was attempted to be charged again. But that wasn't the end of the saga." Simon continued, "When the second time I was charged did not go through, as I had just paid rent, my pre-order was canceled, despite not supposed to being charged until the item actually shipped." Now, for anyone who's ever done these pre-orders, generally when you pre-order from a place like a GameStop, a Target, Best Buy, Walmart, your card usually does not get charged until the day this item gets shipped. In this case, it looks like his card was charged early. It then refunded and then charged again, and because the money wasn't there, it canceled his pre-order. As we know, most pre-orders are sold out at the moment, so we can see how this can become an issue. And it looks like right here, another customer had a very similar experience to what Simon was suggesting. They joined the thread writing, "This happened to me too, had the money in my account for 2 weeks or so, and then the hold clears. I have to spend money on bills and such, and then they placed another days later. It's scummy." So it looks like there's been a few different people who have popped up about this. And it looks like a spokesperson for Target actually responded. And it said, "That's not good. When you place a pre-order, Target sends an authorization hold request to your card issuer. Please direct message us with your full contact information and order number so that we can look into this further. We look forward to hearing from you." A further reply prompted the customers experiencing difficulty to contact the support line for more help. So it looks like other than just reaching out and telling people to contact support, I haven't seen anything official from Target apologizing for this or, saying that it's a widespread issue, but it does look like a lot of people have taken to social media that have been having this same issue. All right, so next up is a awesome new game announcement, and that is Chapters 3 and 4 of the game Deltarune are going to be dropped on the Switch 2. From what we can see in this article, Deltarune's next chapters will launch alongside the Switch 2 on June 5th. The paid release of Deltarune, Toby Fox's episodic Undertale spinoff, will be available for most people at the same time the Nintendo Switch 2 launches in Japan. Fox says in the Deltarune newsletter for May 2025, Deltarune's first 2 chapters, released in 2018 and 2021 respectively, were free, but these new releases, which adds up chapters 3 and 4, will be a paid version that costs $24.99. How the release timing will work is a little confusing, but let me explain. For PS4, PS5, Steam, and the original Switch, Deltarune will launch on June 5th at 12 a.m. in Japan, which translates to June 4th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time for people in the US. The Nintendo Switch 2 version of Deltarune, on the other hand, will launch at midnight local time in most regions on June 5th. This decision actually means that people in New Zealand or Australia who get a Switch 2 at midnight have a slight head start. But for convenience sake, we're going to just ignore you guys and pretend that the game is not out. Meanwhile, don't say anything about it, please, Fox says. Future updates to Deltarune will be added for free, Fox said in a newsletter last month, and Switch 2 version, and will have a special room to take advantage of the console's mouse controls. Now, this sounds like good news for anyone who has played this specific game, that now not only do you have it on the other options that it was released on in the past, but we are also going to be getting it on the Switch 2 at release time. Now, a rumor made its rounds this week that one of the Nintendo Switch 2's launch titles, Mario Kart World, was built using AI assets. Now, it looks like users who have been playing Mario Kart 2, I'm guessing in some of these demo settings that they've been allowed in, or even watching videos of it, have noticed that some of the advertising posters on the circuit for Mario Kart World started to look a little strange. And from this article right here on Mary's Station, which is translated into English, it was in Spanish before, but it looks like some users have noticed the advertising posters that appear on circuits of Mario Kart World, the new and long-awaited installment of the saga, which will hit the market at the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. The illustrations look a little strange, so part of the community has shared their suspicion that they may have been generated with generative artificial intelligence. However, Nintendo has categorically denied this. A representative of the company has shared the following statement: "No AI-generated images have been used during the development of Mario Kart World." A few brief but forceful words which set Nintendo's position on accusations in particular. What prompted some of this, from what it looks like, is if you're looking at this image right here, it looks like what you see from some of the AI images that we see here as of late, where things just aren't the right shape. They look a little off. Like looking at this car, it looks a little bulbous. Some things look missing. And that's typically what we see a lot of with some of the bad AI generation. And it seems, at least from what Nintendo is saying, is that these were just meant to purposely look bad. Chances are good that these being posters, they're not meant to be stared at long term. Players are just going to drive right past them extremely fast. So more than likely, they probably did not feel a need to make them super detailed. If they were in fact using AI, we may never find out. And just having this brought up to the forefront, if they were, may be enough to make them stop, at least with anything moving forward, without being more transparent. And speaking on not being transparent, it looks like Nintendo is in the middle of a legal battle with an accessory maker named Genki. And they are claiming that there has been infringement, and we're going to pop over to this article so that we can see what is being said about this infringement. Nintendo is suing an accessory maker over infringement, unfair competition, and false advertising for releasing Switch 2 mock-ups weeks before reveal. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Accessory manufacturer Genki is now in hot water with Nintendo's legal team after the company released mock-ups of the Switch 2 weeks prior to its first official reveal trailer. So clearly this is something that happened quite a while ago, as the first reveal trailer came out, 2 months ago at this point, month and a half ago. Videos of Genki's dummy Switch 2 understandably went viral at CES 2025 show floor, as the mock-ups were allegedly created using the real console as reference. After Nintendo's lawyers reportedly visited the company to have a word, Genki backtracked by claiming the dummies were based on online leaks and did not own or possess a black market console. Nintendo has now filed a lawsuit against the accessory maker for infringement, unfair competition, and false advertising, and accuses Genki of making contradictory and inconsistent statements during the messy ordeal. So it looks like, according to this, that in December of 2024, that Genki embarked on a strategic campaign that intended to capitalize on the public interest surrounding Nintendo's next generation console. They're claiming that somehow they were leaked a console that they should not have had. And mind you, at this point, it had not been talked about. Nothing from Nintendo's side had been launched or revealed. It looks like in January 25 that they started advertising that they had gained unauthorized access to Nintendo's upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 console, which had not yet been released or even revealed publicly by Nintendo. It continued following its initial claims of access to a genuine Nintendo Switch 2 console. Defendant's statements were contradictory and inconsistent, with the defendant later stating that it was never in possession of the console. Nevertheless, defendant has since maintained its representation to consumers that its accessories will be compatible with the Nintendo Switch 2 upon the console's release. Now, I'm not an expert in this, but I imagine that if you're a company that wants to sell accessories for the Nintendo Switch, pissing off Nintendo is probably not the thing that you want to do if you want your products to go to market. This whole situation here has possibly made it to where this company, with whatever accessories they were going to put out, we may not ever see, because Nintendo may end up just burying them in court. And if you are a company who is making accessories like this, and even if you did get access to a console ahead of time, why would you tell anyone about that? Knowing how strict Nintendo is and how far Nintendo will go to legally squash things, that you would even let anyone know about this. So it'll be curious to see how this ends up turning out in the future, because I'm sure we're going to see more news about this. All right, now on to some much better news, and it is about the CD Projekt Red release of Cyberpunk on the Nintendo Switch 2. And it looks like it's been confirmed that the Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition will physically be on a 64 gig cartridge, which is absolutely great news, because there's been so much speculation about which games are going to be digital downloads, which games you're getting that are literally just a physical key code that will unlock a download for a game, that a lot of people were worried something like Cyberpunk was going to do exactly the same. And it looks like we have confirmation here from the developers that the Ultimate Edition will be on a 64 gig card. So you're going to have the meat and potatoes of the game on your card when you buy it. And more than likely, the only thing you're going to end up having to download is some updates to the game. And looking at this article here, the announcement of the so-called game key cards for the Nintendo Switch 2, in which the titles do not come complete and require a mandatory additional download, caused a great deal of controversy. However, a few developers such as CD Projekt Red have publicly reiterated the importance of the actual physical format within Nintendo's new console. And to prove it, the port of Cyberpunk 2077, a more than worthy conversion based on what was shown, will be one of the games that will accompany the Switch 2 during its launch. It will be complete on a 64 game card, a real technical feat of which they are very proud. Now, for anyone wondering about the verbiage of this article, it is from a Spanish website that is translated to English, so it's not going to be perfect. Moving on in the article, it looks like there was a recent interview with Jan Rosner, who is the Vice President of Business Development at CD Projekt Red. And it looks like they have been very blunt. Nintendo is a very powerful brand in the physical market, and we don't think physical media is going to disappear. With these statements, the executives also sent a message to other companies. Do not underestimate the physical market. Listen, people want physical games. As much as these consoles for years have been trying to move more towards a fully digital platform, kind of like what PC has been doing for years, when it comes to consoles, home consoles, especially these portable consoles, people want a piece of physical media. We all know at this point, because of the stance of many companies, where they say that paying for digital media does not mean that you have ownership of that media. And when we're in a market where we're spending $70 to $80 for a game, people don't want to find out years down the road that all of a sudden they don't have access to that media anymore. Versus if it's on a physical cartridge, as long as that console works, you still have access to that game. So hopefully more developers follow along behind CD Projekt Red when making decisions for games like this, at least some of the big AAA titles, because those are going to be the companies that have more than enough money to invest in putting these things on the physical cartridges. And last but not least, Nintendo has put out some projection numbers for where they think the Switch 2 is going to end up going within the next year or so. And if we look right over here, Nintendo expects the Switch 2 to be just as successful as the original. I don't think it really takes a rocket scientist to figure that out. Most of us already knew that, even with the pricing being a little bit higher. Looks like Nintendo has forecast global sales of 15 million Switch 2 consoles by the end of March 2026, which would be roughly comparable to the original Switch's first year on sale. Despite retailing for a much higher price, the company suffered an expected slump in both hardware and software sales this year, according to its latest earnings release, and will be hoping for a bumper year ahead. The Switch 2 launches on June 5th, so we'll have 10 months on sale to hit the forecast, with Nintendo also expecting to sell 45 million Switch 2 games in the same period. It's not written its older console off though, and is expecting to shift another 4.5 million Switch consoles and over 100 million games in the year ahead, down from 10.8 million and 155 million of each last year. Now, it's not really surprising that Nintendo has those numbers as well for the original Switch, because a lot of people were waiting to see what the pricing of the Switch 2 was. And I'm talking about people who don't have a handheld console at all, to see, number one, if the Switch 1 original goes down in price, which we haven't seen yet. And with the way tariffs and things are moving along, we may not. And to see what the price of the Switch 2 was going to be. With it being on the higher side, you're still going to have a large group of people that are going to just opt for the cheaper price of the Switch 1, especially knowing that there's still going to be a lot of games, at least for the next few years, that will be out on both consoles, minus a few exclusives that are exclusive to the Switch 2. And this is something that we've seen pretty much with every console. If you remember back when the original Switch came out, Nintendo also had the new 3DS XL, which still did pretty well in overall sales, not to mention the Wii U console, as they were selling both at the time. And there were games on the Wii that did come out on both consoles. So we can expect to see a whole lot of that moving forward. All right, so there you have it. A week packed with game news, corporate drama, and even more reasons to be excited for the Switch 2. If you're looking forward to this launch as much as we are, let us know down in the comments below. What feature or game are you the most excited about with the Switch 2? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more gaming videos just like this one. Thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.